Good morning, everyone. We'll call to order the Board of Mayor and Alderman work session. This is October the 2nd, 2025. This work session may be a little bit longer this morning because we have combined the committee meetings and the work session due to fall break next week. So just bear with us and be patient. We'll get through it as quickly as possible. First up, we have public comments. We have two persons that are to speak this morning. I'm going to give you 3 minutes each, and this is a time for you to state your feelings and your concerns to the board. It will not be a question and answer time. We'll notify you by hand wave when your 3 minutes are up. First, we have Jason Jean to speak. Is it Jean or Jeans?
Jeans with an S.
Jeans, okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to be referencing this. I don't know, I believe you guys have this.
This is a reference to the property on 4th Avenue.
That is
at the
correct,
end.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And I'll try to move as quickly as possible because I know you guys have a lot going on as well. So, back in the February, March timeframe, before we bought the property, we came to the city, and when we were looking at it, and they said that it wouldn't be an issue to deed the property over, so we moved ahead with the sale. We came to a work session in June. We saw maybe there might be some opposition to that. So I guess the reason why we're here today is to figure out how we move forward. We cleaned up the property. With the agreement to deed that over, we were gonna make it one lot because only 33 is highlighted, but it's actually 32 and 33 that we're both talking about. So the agreement that was originally, we said, was we would combine it to make it one lot and pay for I would pay for the survey to make that happen. And then when we came, they said, well, not sure that we can actually do that. So I guess I'm here today to figure out if we can't deed it, how do we move forward so I can access the property? Because I was speaking with the city attorney, it's gonna be a pretty good expense to create a road to go back there. It's about 75 foot deep off the back of 4th Avenue and about 55 foot wide, 55 to 58 per the map that we're looking at here. So I guess my question is, how do we move forward to access the property? That's all I have.
Okay. This is on our agenda. It's under the planning and codes report, so we'll discuss it later.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Also, we have Mr. Riley Johnson to speak. This is concerning the same issue.
My name is Riley Johnson, and I live at 1109 Skyline Drive, which is actually borders the land that he is referencing. I'm the corner lot, as long as that land is city. So I live there. That's my primary residence. Plan to live there the rest of my life. So whatever changes are made there, changes me and my wife for the rest of our lives. So very concerned what changes are made. So I understand that extending the road probably not a great idea or anything like that. If deeding the land or whatever, if it would be possible to split it, or if there's other options, because allowing it split or something like that will retain some of the woods there, because right now it changes hands. My backyard is now in somebody else's front yard or whatever. So any kind of concerns there, considering it's our primary residence, going to live there the rest of our life. We don't plan on selling it, renting it. So just like to be considered for our lifetime, any changes made. So thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. For item 3 is the approval of the minutes. This is for the September 4th work session minutes. You've been provided a copy. Are there any corrections to these minutes? Hearing none, those minutes will stand approved as presented. And now we'll move into our department reports. First up is Public Works, Director Jack Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
One.
All right, we'll just get right into a lot going on. So first thing we got is the issue we have over here at Lincoln Avenue and Washington Street. I'm sure you guys have seen some of this. So kind of what the history of it, as they were digging in the water line, they found the issue was some old storm drains that were built, hand-laid rock, those old culverts, the way they were built, the pipe coming into them, leaving them pretty much obsolete. It was beginning to wash out. It had kind of hollowed everything out. So we kind of opened up a can of worms that we had to fix. It was just the point that we had to go back in there. I think you've got some pictures on some things kind of initially. FP was good enough they scoped us out some things and we saw how major this was. That's why we made the decision that this thing was gonna have to be addressed then and there. So that's where we're at with it. The guys you see where they're doing some work. I've got what I took this morning. I'll let you guys see this. They're finishing up. That's kind of the final product before they bury it. So we'll see what you're paying for it. So they're finishing up, they're cleaning up, they're gonna cap it. Cleary's gotta come back in and fill up cover their pipe, and then we're gonna gravel it out. From that point, Lincoln Pavement will come in, and they're gonna put about a 6-inch binder course of asphalt. I'm not considering this a patch, this is more pavement, this is the size of it. So they put a 6-inch binder course of pavement, and then once we come back and actually pave in the future, they'll take about 2 inches off the top of that, so it's not a total loss. What Lincoln Pavement will patch back. Gives us a good binder base course, but in the meantime, once they put that binder down, that'll last us until we do get some paving down. So we're thinking they should get this thing filled and hopefully open up traffic by tomorrow afternoon sometime, by the end of the week. It was a major fix. Any questions on that?
Is this the intersection where that manhole cover had multiple layers of asphalt on it that you sent out?
No, that's not. That's further up. That was actually in between the block there. This is down on Lincoln and Washington Street. Kind of amazed how it didn't collapse on us already, but it was interesting hand-laid rock culverts. We don't know how old. The pipes going through them were pretty well stopped up, and what connected each catch basin to. So, but they jumped in there and got it fixed first.
This is one of the problems, and I guess one of the blessings that you catch it.
Right.
When we change out this old infrastructure, I think Mr. Dodds said some of these pipes were right at 100 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't know what they did back in those days as far as.
It's actually amazing how the engineering to it, when it was done. Some good engineering, but time has taken its toll,
Could there be the assumption that there's multiple of these through the city that we don't know about?
Yeah, I think we could assume that. Yeah. And they have been doing some scoping to make sure and trying to dodge these things, but yeah.
I'm like the mayor, it's just good that while we're in there, we found it, we can fix it and get it done.
It was an absolute have to at that point. And actually, there's 2 other storm drains that poured into that it caught, and those were pretty well gone. So they, instead of having to redo them all, they sleeved it inside, so that saved us some money there. But it did without having to tear those out. So they sleeved those and brought them back into what you're seeing there. And they've put concrete tops for them for access if we ever need to have issues down the road. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jack.
All right. So as far as the report, I guess you guys have seen there's some paving going on. We've got some paving done around the square. I think it looks really good. Stripers came in, did their thing. So with the striping, I know you're seeing one yellow line. No, we didn't. No, only the stripe blue. What it is, that's a temporary stripe. So they'll come back with a thermoplastic, they call it. It's a yellow reflective, and they'll double line the yellow. So it'll be a double yellow, and all the crosswalks and all the stop bars, those will be thermoplastic as well. I think they said it'll probably be a couple weeks before they come back on that. So.
Looks good, looks really good.
So we got our, Public Works we have our own striping machine that we can do some, not this major stuff, but, so we're gonna stripe out these other blocks, because it is I talked with Brett and the contractor, the striping's on the city of Federal, so anything, now that they're done on these other 2 blocks, the west side and the north side, we're gonna stripe those, highlight those parking spots back out. We're gonna get our stuff together and then probably drop off some of these other sections of the square to get some of those highlighted back in, because it's hard to see, and I've had a couple calls wanting to know if we're going to get those done, so we will get those done ourselves. we'll do that in-house. It's just a parking stripe, no special paint. Well, it's a paving paint, but not the thermoplastic, it's a heat type process, and we just can't do that stuff.
Okay.
Any questions on that? And then as far as other paving, we are gonna, we met with Brett and the contractor, we all met yesterday. Third Avenue is ready for us, so we're just waiting on Lincoln paving. I think they're looking like maybe the 1st of November. They're gonna come in and they're gonna get Third, and then, after that, we're gonna go Bellevue Avenue. It's terrible. It was terrible before they started, so, instead of doing a bunch of extra work, patchwork or prep, for the contractor clear, we're just gonna let them get gravel, get packed down, and then they're gonna come in, we'll start Bellevue, hopefully from one end to the other, Bellevue from north and south. So, and then we'll see what money we have left to work with.
That's always a problem, isn't it?
But those are the two ones for sure, those are ones that we know we can get. I don't know if we can go all the way to the north end of Bellevue, but I know we can get to, talking with a contractor, he should be ready. We should be able to cross Washington Street, at least past that intersection. And then going back south, this other way, so we'll get most of that.
Are these, you're also grinding these too?
Yes.
Because you had mentioned you're gonna start,
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
mean, we
grind.
have to, we're at the
Yeah,
point.
Yeah, we're gonna grind everything we do, yeah. So, and that's pretty much the paving plan is right now. After that, like I said, we'll just have to see where we're at. I'll sit down with Mr. Owens and we have lots of priority streets, but, those are two for sure. Questions on that? All right, as far as the garbage truck, I'm telling you guys, everything looks like it's on track for October, but like everything else, my rep called and said, well, we could be looking at November, maybe January, December, so we're still looking, we're still waiting. The good thing is, we do have the rental truck, on standby, and, what you guys allowed us to, thank goodness you guys allowed us some money to have that rental, so we have it until the 1st of January, so we're covered. We had to take it out yesterday because of a breakdown, but we did have budgeted money, so we have the rental, the backup, at least until January. So hopefully we'll see something by then. And they're doing the best to keep the old one running, trying to clean up behind it, so if you get calls and that thing making a mess, yes, it still makes a mess, but we try to sweep behind it best we can. Questions on that? All right, so we did meet with Brett and the contractor, Cleary, on the water line, with TDOT as well. So they are planning to start, the next cut will be from Elk all the way through the curve, all the way to the end of Mulberry Avenue, where it splits to go to Shelby Highway. That's right. Correct, yeah. They're gonna start saw cutting next week, so they're gonna start it up, but they're gonna saw cut at night, the whole thing, and, that'll be next week. They are gonna have flaggers, they're gonna try to keep one lane open, through this process. And then once they actually start digging, they're gonna do night work from Elk to get past Norris. He said that's probably a couple weeks on that. Yeah, and, that'll be at night, but from Norris on, it'll be day. And they're gonna try to flag continuously to keep one lane running, because it will be a nightmare for a little bit, till they can get out of, at least past Norris Street, that'll help it. So that's where we're at on the water line update. So I think they were finishing, they're on Washington Street, they're finishing up there today, and so next week they come in and start cutting.
When that's pulled up on, Mulberry, is that gonna be gravelled back in, or is it gonna be paved?
That'll be flowable fill. Yeah, that's the state. They'll put flowable fill back in there, and that'll stay until they come back and pave someday. We don't know. I don't think there's any paving planned on that. I think there is some paving planned on Main Street next year possibly, but as right now talking to TDOT, there's nothing that's in the make. It's for Mulberry for college. Mulberry here. So we will have what we have for a while.
Yeah, I think it makes it even more important that we stop semis from going down that
Yeah.
street. Because
We discussed that yesterday. We're gonna try to work with I'm gonna get with Chief Benny and maybe even have an officer, you know, if he, we're gonna talk about it. That is a problem. And we have no through trucks, we put up signage, don't turn that way, but, it's like we talked about, I think a lot of times it's just a GPS, and they're not looking at signs that the GPS says turn, so they turn, and, it's an issue. It's a major, and that's a lot of problems with, you know, what's wrong with some of our streets. Some of our streets are not really designed to carry that type of traffic, but we're gonna work on that, because it's gonna be an issue.
Chief, do we have does the police department have a flashing sign that we can put there, or somewhere in that area?
They're gonna do it. You're gonna do a digital sign like that.
Okay.
And Clary's gonna actually put up the digital.
LED lights around it.
Yeah.
Designate to have that flash on it where it lets us know that they can turn down the already tractor trailer. I'll see if I can come up with something.
Maybe after they see it a while, you know, it'll reroute from.
And
We've been called DCS and see if they can have that rerouted, and they haven't done anything with
digital. They're putting up digital signs too, so direction, to give out directions, but that's the best you can do, you know.
I know you and I talked this week, Cleary had signs on Washington, no through traffic, and people were still turning, got in there with a truck, couldn't get turned around.
Right.
One person had a golf cart on the back,
Yeah.
they got it, couldn't get,
Yeah, you couldn't get turned around.
read the sign,
Kind of
go
got
through
upset.
traffic.
Yeah, and then the comm center called me and said they had some calls, said they couldn't get through there, and I said, well, it's a signage reading issue. No through traffic, you know, but that's all you can do is put the signs up. Even when these guys were doing the project down here at Lincoln, we had, I mean, the sign was as big as this podium, said road closed. Well, one lady ran over the sign, drug it into her driveway, and I didn't see it. And then the next day a truck hit it. So, you know, all you can do is, and then we put up the stop sign there where the guys were working, they were just running through the stop sign. I was afraid that, you know, a collision, so we put an extra stop sign, and they ran over the stop sign. So, all we can do is signage and hope for the best. And because, I mean, these guys out there working, you know, they're in danger of getting actually hit or ran over. So it's very critical. The flaggers and the guys actually working, you know, you can't watch out of one corner of your eye to see what's coming at you. So the best we can do is get the word out. You know, Britt's done a great job of getting out the word of what they're doing. We'll get the word out, keep the word out with our folks, and dispatch it out the best we can. But it's going to be an issue for a little bit. That's pretty much what we're at. So, any questions on that?
I think you've covered it.
That's about all I got.
Any questions for?
Are you fully staffed?
We're too short. We lost one yesterday, and then we did lose one a couple of weeks ago. One left us. So we got 3 applications. We're going to set up some interviews. So we're one short in sanitation and one short in the utility workers.
You still good on CDL drivers?
We got one in training right now. So, he's pretty much ready to actually go to Columbia and take his. So we're crossing our fingers because we need him to get his CDLs. We could use them right now. So.
Did the ones that left Jack have the CDLs?
One did. So we're batting 500. We lost one and kept one. So it's probably about going to be our average. I hope it's better than that, but we did lose one. The other we promoted up to a truck that we needed him on. He's doing a good job with that one.
I have a comment from a citizen about, you know where we put in, it's on the corner, intersection of Lincoln Avenue and Mayberry, right behind the museum, where we put in that raised thing and there's 4-way. So there's 4-way stops on each stop sign that says 4-way, but there's a yield on one side, and they have seen people almost collide because they think it's all 4-way but there is the one that's yield that you just can keep going.
Oh, the turn lane,
Yeah, so if we can, look, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but
Yeah.
if it should say four-way, or if there's some other way
It
to
really
say-
shouldn't yield, it should stop, okay.
Yeah,
I
so
will-
just
I
look
go-
at that.
Yeah, I drive that way every morning, I've really not paid attention.
Yeah,
I know, yeah, when we put up the island to split.
yeah, so.
But no one's ran over the sign since then, so.
No?
I picked
And
that
it looks
place.
good,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
good.
Yeah, well, FU put us up the flashing red, that helped. But, yeah, I picked that sign up 3 different times when I first started. One time it was down at the produce places. But, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if you look at it, just.
You're right, Joseph, I'll look and see it. It probably should just be a stop sign, it should stop as well there.
There may be a stop sign missing on one of those corners, because I've only seen like 3. But it doesn't mean I didn't miss it too.
Yeah, I think you may be right, Ms. Dorcas, it could be, so we'll check it out again. Overall, it's worked pretty good, we made that change, we get the flashing, but I didn't realize until you're standing out there trying to get that sign put back when it first got there, how much traffic comes through there.
Yeah.
A lot, pretty busy little intersection, it's amazing. So, but yeah, I'll check on that.
Thank you.
anything else for Jack? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have the police department, Chief Jennings.
Morning, Mayor and Board.
Good morning.
First on the agenda is I have a total of 4 permit requests that's been put in that we have approved. First one is host a Christmas pass, which is 11/14/25. And then Washington Street Church of Christ Fall Fun Festival trunk or treat permit, which is October 26th. And then a Fear Not Me Fest permit, which is October 31st. And then there's a Chase the Cheetah 5K reindeer run permit, 11/15. We have approved all of those. Need to read past
Are
on.
these, full, we need to move these on, Kevin, due to overtime? Okay, so if we'll move those forward, please.
Next, we have a resolution R 2025-13 to accept the THSO grant. Earlier in the year, you gave us permission to apply for a grant for the police department. It's a $10,000 grant, and the plan is to use $2,000 for overtime on officers for high visibility, working traffic, and then out of the remainder, which is $8,000, if we work $2,000, we're allowed to spend $8,000 for equipment out of this grant. We have been granted that request, and we just need to accept the resolution to accept this grant.
We'll move that forward also, Deb.
Police department update, we're doing good. We're still fully staffed. Last Friday, we had 2 officers graduate from Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, Patrolman Mary Vestal and Patrolman Isaiah Polson. So they started full-time this week by themselves on the road, and they're doing good. We also should have 2 that will graduate from Blount County Training Facility October 31st of this month. And then that will leave us with only 2 uncertified officers that are scheduled to go to the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in January of this year. So that we're still fully staffed. These guys are working hard. And we were talking about the trucks. Citation activity has really gone up. Last month, they issued 95 citations. That's 50% more than this time last year. I don't know the exact number of trucks, but they are working the trucks and issuing citations for the trucks. With that being said, I got a lot of, my complaints are up. But complaints are gonna be up when these officers out here doing their job, and as long as they're doing it professional, we can deal with that. And that's, we got officers that are actually doing their job, issuing citations. And a little bit of that, since they've started issuing more citations, traffic crashes have actually gone down a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 from this time last year. So we're carefully monitoring that, and we'll keep that in mind. We did receive 1 new vehicle, so we had 3 from last year, and then you gave us 1 this year. That vehicle's already here, and it's on the road being put to use. And if you get a chance to take a look at it, I think we posted it online. Just for your information, one thing that me and my department has done, we have started to do, we've been looking at the permitting process. This is just for your information. I plan to take this to the committee next time. The permitting process, we would like to look at maybe charging a fee for a permit, because for instance, this Cheetah 5K, on the permit, it does not request police presence or assistance, but there's no way they can run a 5K without our assistance. And what that does is I have to call people in that's normally off, and they have to work overtime to help out with this, because I can't pull away from the regular duty of these citizens, officers that are answering calls. So we would like to sit down and go over the permitting process, and maybe in the future, at some point, maybe start charging a fee to help out with the overtime, because that kills my overtime budget. That is my report. Any questions?
Chief, I think back, Jeff, you may remember back some time ago, we talked about this, about, charging for these, especially these runs, if it's around the square, like our festivals, no, but on this other stuff, I mean.
Right, yeah, it goes, and I think this one will go down the bypass and then back up Moore Avenue, and so, yeah, that takes a lot of manpower to assist these.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I know people don't think about that when they put these things on, but that's money that's, like you said, coming out of y'all's budget, and I think that's a good idea, what you're talking about, so. Thank you.
Comments?
I think, and I'd have to go back and see if I can find it, but I think going and rereading some of those ordinances, I think the city has already on ordinance something about being able to charge for these permits. Do you remember?
I
that
don't
story?
remember that specifically, but I do think at some time in the past we did talk about, I'm sure we did, a fee for it.
Well, good deal. Hopefully we can sit down and we'll get together and come up with a plan.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna move to the fire department, and I have Kevin Owens to present.
Good morning, Mayor and Board. Chief Brooklyn is on vacation this week, so he had 3 items for me to report today, and one of them is to introduce the Assistant Fire Chief, who is Mr. Brandon Gentry, and I'm gonna do that, although he had that at the end of the report, I wanted to do that at the beginning because he may have to help me with the 3rd item. But item number 2, which will also be a finance item, in their budget, in the fire department budget, they have in 259, they have professional services, which they would like to take 1,000 out to put in their software budget to make up for the shortfall they're having for their grant subscription, and this is the ESO, so that will be coming up in the finance part, but they would like to move 1,000 from what their professional service to put in account 255.
Do you want to move this forward now or in finance?
Finance,
Okay.
we'll do it in finance. In the 3rd item, I'm sorry, did you?
Finances, we're doing it here.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I'm coming
You just
back at
read
that
it.
at the
Okay, I didn't know if we had another finance.
No.
Sorry about that. So the 3rd item, and Chief did give me a report on the fire truck that is now in being repaired, but Brandon had a update from what the chief gave me, and that's what I would like for him to give the board an update on the truck.
Morning.
Good morning.
So a few new things on our ladder truck. I took it down to Brindley Mountain last Thursday for a main cylinder repair. It's the big aerial ladder on top. One of the two cylinders that raise it, one of them blew out during training. Thankfully, we caught it in time and got it back and cradled before it caused a big mess. That cylinder's $9,250 to replace. We opted to go with a new cylinder instead of rebuilding that cylinder. For one, the main reason, time that truck's gonna be down. Supposed to have been done between Monday and today. I was supposed to went down and picked it up. I got a call from them yesterday. Cylinder's been fixed, it has been repaired. But there was an alarm go off on the truck while I was taking it up the mountain to Brindley. It went off, come back on when I pulled in the parking lot. Probably couldn't have worked out any better, so to speak, that way they could see it, but they're still tracking that alarm down. They are thinking it is a module now that either has something to do with hydraulics or temperature. And he's thinking if it is that module alone could be potentially a couple $1,000, not counting the labor, what it takes to put it in. So they're still trying to diagnose that. Brindley's been really good with us. They don't like throwing parts at trucks. They want us to be sure that we're spending the money what we have to spend, and that's why they don't want to start just throwing money at it, which I do appreciate that from them. I'm not confident it's gonna come back this week. Can't guarantee. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have to order the module if it is gonna be a module. So probably looking at next week, getting that back, hopefully. So as of right now, Tullahoma Fire Department is still our closest one that we will have to call in the need that we have an aerial. So, engine one, since this report that I did the other day, engine one has been out of service due to our seats being tore. Seat cushions, and those cushions, like everything else, is electronic seat sensors. Since this report, that truck is back on the road. They have been fixed and repaired. And engine four is gonna be our next project. It has a cracked pump manifold, and it's leaking water just while it's freestanding, sitting in the bay, sitting on the side of the road. We have had them come look at it. They don't know why it's cracked. Brindley is getting with their fab department right now to see if it's gonna be feasible to rebuild that manifold or replace it. There again, their question, they're telling us is, we can replace it, but we need to figure out why it's cracking due to the new age of that truck. There again, they're not wanting to throw money at this truck and Band-Aid it when we might have to come back and address this down the road. So we're waiting on our fab shop for that. It is still in service right now. It is not bad enough to take it out of service. As long as we keep an eye on it and make sure our water levels are good. And the guys are really good about doing that. So right now, we're just keeping an eye on it, but that's no need for that truck to come out of service. But when the ladder comes back, we'll address that and get that down there as soon as possible to get that repaired. But other than that, all apparatus are in good shape.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And also the expense that Assistant Chief Gentry said, the $9,250 is in the budget, so we do not have to appropriate any additional money. We're not happy about that expense, but it is included in the 25-26 budget.
It's, on this agenda, it's the new fire truck update. Do we know anything about that?
So, what Chief and I had talked about, and I apologize, I'm kind of coming in on the backside of this process. He was going to explain in next week's work session where we're at on that process and the bond process. He did state that it's not ready for finance at this time, nor is it requiring any actions from us, and that we're still waiting on the attorneys.
Okay.
So that was his message from him he wanted me to give.
Okay.
And he is correct. What David had expected to be back for work session to be next week, and he was gonna work on some stuff with the bond, but he will be able to present it in the committee as well as the next month.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And we'll move to Parks and Recs. Director Nathan Browning.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
Morning.
The first three items on the agenda are all for Mr. Owens has kind of spearheaded this whole operation, so once again, I will turn everything over to him.
Good morning. The first two under Nathan's report will be about Camp Blunt. Just let everybody know that we have updated based on your comments to review and renew. So the state has given us an agreement based on that. They were acceptable to that, and it has been put in, and that's for your review, and we would still need approval. So the state is complete as far as their recommendation for the agreement, and we will need to approve that and for the mayor to sign on that one.
Can you move that forward?
As far as item number 2, the MOU, it was the wishes of the board to get with the Camp Blunt Association as far as the MOU. We have reached out to them, and they have responded, at least the chairman has responded that he would not be signing the agreement until we go past this. So right now, we just at a stalemate with that.
I was a little concerned with this because it seems like we're doing this backwards. You know, this agreement clearly, a lot of the things in here is what the Camp Blunt Association handles and takes care of. And I was hoping that we could do the MOU first and include it with the contract when we submit this to the state. But the Camp Blunt Association is wanting us to send this to the state first and then come back and do the MOU of the things that they agree to do and the things that we agree to do. So, Johnny, do you see a problem with that? I mean,
I don't.
no, okay. Whether
But
it's,
I think there are some ongoing discussions, so that's kind of a fluid situation right now with the MOU and the Camp Park group.
okay.
So that, there could be developments between now and the board
And the
meeting.
board meeting, yeah, because that's a few days. Okay, so we'll just move that forward, Debbie, to the board meeting. That was my only concern. Does anyone else have a comment about that? Okay.
And for item number 3, the IDB industrial park update, we have solicited proposals for 2 surveys, and both of them have given me a dollar amount as well as an expectation when the survey can be done. That was one of the conditions with IDB in order to transfer the property, so we have received those to date. And the lowest of the 2 was about $3,000 to do that. And the other would be basically just transfer of legal work, and that would be done in-house upon the survey recommendation.
Do we need to move this on, Kevin, or are you still gathering information?
We're still gathering information,
Okay.
and just to let you know, with both of the survey recommendations, we're still a little bit off before they will be done based on workload. I think the one that was lowest probably about early November, the other one was December before they could get to it. So we're a little bit off before the work will be done.
Before next month too, I was looking at this map, this is the first time I've seen this map. So there's areas there that would have to be cut. Like the rec department, if we take this land over, they would have to cut the grass. I know I was under the impression that they said there wouldn't be any maintenance have to be done. But there's road frontage with areas that don't have trees. So I'm just curious to see how many more acres they would immediately have to start maintaining.
I don't know the acreage. The best that I was able to do with Google Maps is the measurement on there.
Okay.
Again, the exact acreage,
Okay,
Not
I'm just
sure.
curious as to how many man hours, if we would be able to even add this to the workload with the number of employees they have.
Well, right
We could
now, I
put
think
that
that
in.
property is being bush hogged by the farmer, neighboring farmer.
it looked like
And
it
they're
was being
taking the
bush,
hay out.
looked like it was being bush hogged every time I've gone by. I haven't been on the backside, I guess Providence there,
Okay,
to see, and it's probably been 3 or 4 months since I've been back there. But the front edge, I think, was bush hogged.
okay.
And this property is coming from IDB, not the county, right?
That's correct.
Thank you for the
Understanding
clarification.
IDB owns the whole entire property.
And this property was originally, the city's property. The city, this is my understanding from the IDB director, that the city donated this land to start the IDB, the industrial park. And then it grew from there. And so they are just wanting to return the land to its original owner. So that's how it was presented back to the city, and why it was presented back to the city and not to the county was because the city originally donated this land to the industrial board. So I just want to make that clarification because I did have some questions about that. Any other comments on the industrial board? Okay.
All right. Item number 4 is our department update. Mentioned last month, I believe, we've also had some calls and questions about our slide. Our slide has officially been installed. So, yes, right. Just
Do we have a polar bear
polar
plunge?
plunge, yeah. Chief Jennings, I think, has already volunteered for that.
Yeah.
All right.
We should draw the short straws from the board.
Jeff's good at that. I think he's done that before.
So it is installed. The water has not been hooked up yet. We're waiting for cutting season to end before we get everything hooked up and tested. But it is up and it looks nice. Secondly, our Christmas parade theme, I want to thank our judges for their collaboration in coming up. We had a lot. We had over 34 entries for our Christmas theme parade. And again, a lot of them were really good, but we came to a hometown Christmas, which is very fitting, I think, for the city of Fayetteville. And one of the young ladies that was on our board, or our judging panel rather, she said it just feels like Fayetteville. Fayetteville is just a hometown. So very excited for that and for folks to get their registration in for their floats, which the deadline for that is November the 21st at 4 o'clock. So after November 21st, we're going to try to shut that down. Next is our Monster Mash Bash. It's on the 25th of October. We have 13 participating businesses signed up to line our walking path, to hand out candy at that trunk or treat style. They're going to be decorating a little area for our kids. Had a great turnout last year, and I think this year may exceed that. So we're really excited about our Monster Mash Bash. This Saturday from 8 to 12 is our senior rodeo. They stocked the pond this past Saturday morning. Signs are up. There's no fishing allowed right now. I want to thank the police department for kind of monitoring that for us to keep as many fish in there as possible. So we're looking forward to that Saturday morning. And bingo is going to be Monday, October the 6th. Returning callers, Miss Christy Gentry and Jill Smith, making their return. We're going to be looking for November callers, so if anyone is interested in that. Our turnout has been really good, so we're excited to provide that opportunity for our senior citizens. And finally, we finally have Miss Abby back from maternity leave. She's doing well. she picked right up where she left off, doing a great job. So all of our folks are doing good, working hard, and getting ready to wrap up mowing season. So that's my report. Any questions?
Are you fully staffed?
Yes, ma'am.
That's great.
What's the age for the senior fishing rodeo?
60.
60?
Trying to get in there.
Don't carry Benny with
That's why he's patrolling it out there.
He's night fishing.
It's gonna be a little light on the catfish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to planning and codes, Director Christy Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, Board.
Morning.
The first item that we have on the agenda is the request for the deed of the undeveloped city-owned property on 4th Avenue. That's what Mr. Jeans and Mr. Johnson spoke to earlier. This item, when it was brought to us, Jack and I looked at it and had took it to Attorney Hill, who had looked into it, and Mr. Jeans had approached us. He had bought parcel 32 and 33 at the end, and had came to us and said that, you know, there's an undeveloped portion of the road there and that he would be interested in it. We did go to committee with that, and Attorney Hill also reached out to MTAS and found out we do not have obligation for extending the pavement or actually developing it all the way out. We could do driveway easement, but one thing that he did want to do, because we have had other instances where we've had little areas of land where we had deeded over before and we had issues with that, so he wanted to make sure that all adjoining property owners were notified. So that took a little bit of time. I believe the house is vacant on parcel 31 there, so it took a little bit of time for him to track down all owners. So at this point, then we were also approached by Mr. Johnson, who shows interest in part of that. So there's a couple of things that could be done. It could all be deeded over to Mr. Jeans. They had thought about maybe splitting it between Mr. Johnson and Mr. Jeans, but then I had talked to Jack, if we do that, because this property then would be added to their parcels. It would not be left kind of like it is now with a part of a roadway easement or city property. And the only thing with splitting it that I came to a conclusion with is that a parcel is required to have 50 foot of road frontage. And we kind of measured it on the map. It's not an exact measurement, but it was like 60 feet. So if you gave each 30 feet, if you split it down the middle and gave each 30 feet, then Mr. Jeans wouldn't have the 50 foot roadway that's required. So I don't know that that could be done as far as splitting it. We could leave it as city property and then give easements to both Mr. Jeans and Mr. Johnson. But regardless, it's city property. That's why it has to come to the board for the board to make a decision.
The alley isn't considered road frontage?
We cannot address off of an alley. It has to be off of a city street. And that's actually Mr. Jean's property, the terrain, probably the reason why it hasn't been developed. I mean, we put the contour lines on, it falls very quickly. And the best part to probably build is down next to the alley, but you're not allowed to address off of an alley. So even if he built down there, he would have to do his driveway off of 4th and go down, which would be a lot of expense and cost to him to develop right there. Am I missing anything, Mr. Hill, that you wanted to add?
I did speak to the property owner of, is it 31, I have in front of me, and they were opposed to the concept, but I think they were more opposed to the idea of another house being built there than anything else, but just for purpose of getting that out there.
So they weren't interested in a quote-unquote split?
That lot, I think, ends before the property in question.
Oh, okay.
right about.
So the split would be with 34, or who?
Right.
Okay.
But if we just did an easement and we split the easement, we would be okay on the road frontage?
Because we would be retaining the property.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with the splitting is that we would have to do flats to add
Yeah.
that property to their,
But we can do a split with just an easement and retain property.
yes, yeah, that we could grant an easement to them.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure y'all knew all
Yeah.
sides of everything.
Okay, so Mr. Jean owns 32 and 33?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the portion of the cities is the black crossed property?
And I don't know why that wasn't developed all the way out. I don't know, it's been that way for a long, long time. No one could ever give us that answer. And just by the fall in the terrain of the land, I'm sure that's why those two lots in that very back wasn't developed, and maybe they just, when they paved, assumed that wasn't gonna be developed and just stopped right there. I don't know why the city didn't already extend that out.
When that subdivision was platted 85 years ago, maybe, Fourth Avenue was actually platted to go all the way to the property line of the back property line of the houses that front on Shady. And at some point, part of that property was deeded over to 33, lot 33. But that street actually was originally designed to go all the way to the back of the houses.
I'd say it's just because of that file, because come down that
It is.
alley, is just, that drops off.
It's about a 15, 20-foot drop off.
Chris, to your, sorry.
Would be a total easement, so it's split in, still, if it's split, it's still 33.
Well, I mean, just,
Share, and I think he's asking, would you split it?
yeah, I mean, the easement they would both be allowed the easement, but we would not be splitting anything. We
Right,
would
we
just,
would retain ownership.
yes, it would be as it is now, and we would just put, an easement in play.
Okay, I think I understand.
Mr.
So it's sorry.
Go ahead.
It seems like the fairest to both, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be to retain it, give them both easement to the properties. Am I understanding that right? That they would still be able to address to it. They would just have easement to that property. Okay. And then, from your information, do you know if the development will be single resident?
If the plan is still the same, Mr. Jeans was gonna combine parcel 32 and 33 and build one single-family home.
Okay.
Well, I want to address it. So if that was the agreement, if it was deeded over to me, but if I get an easement, I have two lots that I can build two houses. So I don't want to tell you that I'm going to build one house if I have access to build two, because the plan's changing based on what's happening. So my plan may change in lieu of that, because, and my only concern is with the easement, because this is my only access. If this goes away from me, I'm landlocked, if I don't have access to my property. With the easement, with him, if I put in a driveway, what prevents someone from saying, I got access to this property, so I'm gonna block the driveway? I have just as much right as you do, so how do we address that? If I put a driveway to my property and someone else has easement, then I can use that free, and, we just need to make sure the verbiage in the easement says that no one can block it, and we can utilize it,
Yeah.
it has to be open.
Yeah. Is that standard easement language, Johnny? Can you put that in an easement?
Well, I thought what Chrissy was proposing was still kind of splitting it, but just for easement purposes, so that Mr. Jean would have the easement over the eastern half of the street, and Mr. Johnson would have an easement over the western half of the street.
I think that fixes his issue with what he's saying.
That does,
if we
but I think
do
what
that.
Jack's saying is.
Mr. Johnson, it's only 30 foot, and you need 50 for it to be access.
No,
And
that-
with an easement, you gotta do 50 feet. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you still have to have it, if we retain it, we still have to have it. He's saying if it stays city though, and we just allow that, you still have to have the 50 feet. If we retain and don't give them the property, we just make it an easement, it still has to be 50 feet?
It still has to be 50 feet.
Okay.
And Mr. Jeans came into this with the impression that he was gonna receive this land, right? It'd be deeded to him. Is
That's
that
what I was
correct?
told before I purchased the land. That's the only reason why I purchased the land.
And who did that come from? Planning or?
No, we said we would have to take it to the board, because I know we've had other issues where we've given property before, and kind of got burned in that situation, so we immediately went to Attorney Hill, and we knew that it would have to be a board vote because it was city property.
My recommendation would be, maybe there should be some negotiation on that side and then come back with a recommendation.
That's what I was gonna say, you wanna come back to committee next month.
I think there should be some negotiation
The
on your
50
side.
The 50-foot thing was kind of something that
Yeah.
we discussed for the first time yesterday afternoon, and I probably need to wrap my arms around that a little bit better, and we could go back to committee next month and maybe come out of committee with a recommendation.
I think.
And that's
committee would be okay
originally
with that.
before the meeting cycle kind of got messed up, what we were
Yeah.
gonna do anyway. I mean, that was the plan for this month, was to try to get a grasp on the recommendation from the committee to know what to formally present to the board.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think, maybe some negotiation on your side to get to an amiable thing between the two properties and then come back to us.
Okay, so we'll move that to next month.
Items 2 and 3, we're just going to, the only action this month is to call for a public hearing. We have 2 rezoning requests. The first request is for 521 Market Street West, to go from R3 to C3. This property is owned by Gallant Funeral Home, and the purpose of this request is they have tore down, they had bought a lot that adjoins their property, their other funeral home complex there, and they want to build a crematory. They did tear down the single-family home that was on that lot, and so they're requesting to go to commercial so that they can come before the planning commission to build a crematory on that lot. And so we would need to call for the public hearing for that one. The second one is.
Before you move on to
Yes,
that,
sir.
there's a discrepancy here in your rezoning application. Proposed property usage is parking lot, but then it says here in the office use area that it's gonna be a crematory. So,
Well, yes, I forgot to change that on the application. They originally was gonna do the crematory. They had some switcheroo going
okay,
on
yeah.
with the
So it's gonna be
lots.
those 2 vacant
Yes, ma'am.
office buildings there.
The current, no, this is on the back side
Yes,
of their
I know
property.
what you're talking.
They were going to, the current parking lot, they were gonna build the crematory. And then the lot now that they're building the crematory on, was gonna be the parking lot. So we had to get them all straightened out to come to utilities. But this lot now, that is zoned R3, they tore the house down, and that is where they wanna build the crematory. They don't wanna, mess up the current parking lot. They're just gonna leave that as parking and move forward with this development. So all the paperwork that was submitted, we had to go in and fix, and
So
I failed to change that part of the application, I'm sorry. I do have the ordinance ready, the letters ready. After the public hearing is announced and called for, it will be advertised in the paper, and then all of the adjoining property owners on that block will receive the letter and the packet with the intended use. Are there any other more questions on that one?
Any more questions?
I got one from Ms. Dorothy. How close this is to the Knott residence?
right next door. Actually, and going through it in my mind, it is next door. I'm trying to remember if there's the parking lot and then this area that they're talking about, but it's right next door. Are they in opposition of it? Are they in opposition of it?
I don't know, I was just wondering.
It's on the same side,
And I was,
right near, yeah.
I would assume that the property owners adjoining probably don't know this yet.
No, they will all get letters. This was recommended up from the planning commission to this board, because it takes the planning commission and the board of mayor and aldermen to make a zoning change. Now, I assume maybe you're talking about one of these properties, Miss Dorothy,
Mm-hmm.
is the residence that you were talking about?
Right.
Yeah, all of this whole, I've got letters ready for this whole block, all the way down, we'll get a letter.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move for this to be set as a public hearing in the next monthly meeting. Is that what you're requesting, Christine?
Yes, ma'am. At the October board meeting, you will just announce for a public hearing that will be held at the November board meeting.
Okay.
Number 3 is also a rezoning request. This is for 406 Franklin Avenue South. And this is also an R3 to C3 zoning request change. Mr. Jimmy Johnson owns this lot. He has a grandfathered use in meaning when he purchased this property, there was already a block building that he uses for his shop. The commercial use is grandfathered to stay into place. One of the reasons that he is seeking rezoning is because in the future he wants to expand his business and set, I believe, his son up to have a future expansion there. But in order to do so, we can never make a lot more non-conforming than it already is. So the area surrounding this is already zone C3. So if he's wanting to expand, he wants to go ahead and align the zoning up. So when he chooses to build a new building, that he's already in compliance with the zoning. So
Can you explain, you just said make a lot not more non-conforming.
right
Can you
now,
explain
he has a grandfathered non-conforming use, meaning the lot is zoned R3.
that? But he has an exemption.
But because it already had a commercial use and has for many years, I believe he said when he purchased it from Yearwood, they used it as their paint shop. So it already had a commercial business on this lot. That use was allowed to continue, but we can never do more to that lot, making it more non-conforming than it already is, meaning building other structures and everything, because it is still zoned R3. So he is requesting a zoning change so that he will be in compliance with zoning and can expand in the future. Which this is really just fixing something that's already an issue. This is making it better for us and for him. So this would be the same process. This came from Planning Commission. At the October meeting, we will just call for the public hearing, announce that, and then I already have all the ordinance ready, the letters ready, and the newspaper ad ready to go out after the hearing is called for.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on that particular one? Okay. As far as my department report, we did hold a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on September the 16th. A special exception was permitted. This would be for the lot right beside the new EMA office on Wilson Parkway. Mr. Will Thomas went through with the purchase of this property and was granted a special exception to be able to do a storage unit development on this property. At this time, since the special exception has been granted, he is getting his plans and everything ready to come through the Planning Commission with his site development plans in order to get a permit to actually do the development. We do have a court hearing, it's a continuation from July that's scheduled for October 16th for 610 Kiwanis Avenue. This was just a property maintenance cleanup. They have been making some progress on the property, so we will go back to court October the 16th, and hopefully they will be in full compliance by that time. The Wendy's project is still moving forward. We did some sign permits for them, and Jill has done a couple of inspections out there. It's kind of been a slow go, but it's still moving forward. A certificate of occupancy was issued for Kid Magic Learning Center at 1107 Hedgemont Avenue. I know that this has been a tricky property over the last few years with the rezoning and everything, but the State Farm Marshal did come and inspect, as well as our local fire chief and the planning department. The daycare was given their license. They're permitted to have 49 children, and then 4 classrooms were permitted for their daycare area at that building. Wanted to give an update, the mobile food vendor permits. We, thanks to Jack, he kind of went in and modeled an Excel spreadsheet for tracking, and it will be, we'll be adding that to our report like we do each month with the permit report. So you'll be able to see all the ones that are licensed, expiration dates and everything. It's going to be a really good tracking tool for us. Everything is on the website, even a fillable application, the link to pay, the ordinance, everything is housed on the website. And then we did go back and send out all letters to anyone that had expired, just trying to get everybody into compliance. So all of that is moving very smoothly, it appears to be now. And then also Chief Bergman and the fire department, they've had a few inspections for the food trucks. October the 6th and the 20th are the two next inspection dates. So just want to thank everybody and all departments for their help in getting that going. It's working really well. And then the inoperable vehicle side of things, Garrett's also working with the police department really well on getting vehicles tagged. And then we will also be providing that log in with our regular report as well. So just wanted to give an update on those 2 things. And then the last thing, just want to go ahead and thank the departments. We have a host preparation meeting set up for October 23rd. It takes a village to pull off that festival. So we're going to meet with all the departments and just get a good game plan together to be able to execute on that day, the setup, the tear down, and all of that. So that's my report.
Any questions? Christine? Okay, and then we have one item under
2.
2 items. Okay, downtown improvement grant from Mr. Evans.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor and Board. From our special call meeting in September, I was asked to find some information on the downtown improvement grant, was being asked for the board's approval. And since the 15th, I have had a chance to meet with at least speak with the contractor, the proposal, Main Street, as well as the person who owns the proposed parklet, to get further information, as well as Attorney Hill. And we have found out that we could extend the lease beyond 10 years, and he was in favor with that. We talked with the vendor as far as Grant Donnelly, as far as the proposal. He did give us the reasons why we did have to do, well, he suggested the reasons to do so, which was included in the grant we approved. So there will be some civil engineering, which will be locating all the utilities under and making the design, as well as doing the procurement parts of it. So that will be all part of his proposal, which are expert skill sets that we do not have within. So those were some of the things we did come up with. And the cost, I think one of the questions was about the bid. Mr. Donnelly did come back and he did amend the bid. The bid was a little bit over budget for us, but he did amend the bid so we could include it within the budget.
Do we know how many years the lease would be extended out beyond the 10 that were originally?
I think it was 20.
Next one.
Did we get what it's really gonna be too? I know we all kinda wanna know this is what's gonna be there now, cause there's some things that were considered at first that weren't gonna be happening now as far as budget, correct? Do we know the answers on that?
Yeah, it probably should have included it in this, but I sent the, latest rendering to Kevin. Do
You
you
did.
care, do you mind if I pass around?
Please, and I should have pulled that up too. I talked to them
I'm
with
gonna
the
pull up
contractor.
this picture, guys. Do not scroll.
Just look at it.
Just look.
I'll start with it.
We got it too.
And I can either email it or Kevin can email
Yeah,
it.
we get that.
I'm saying
I can do a side by side before and after, if you don't want me to do that.
I like that.
Thanks for
You're
not scrolling. No, thanks for not scrolling. There's also, there's also a rendering of a mural on the side. It's not part of the grant, but it is a, idea of what the Main Street Board would like to do some like tourism mural within the parklet. That's on the back side of the now Ma'am's fabric.
Mhm.
It's not the flowers.
Yeah, not the flower, the river one.
Yeah, the river, up the stairwell.
Yeah, Joe would pay for that one.
Yeah.
Because he owns that building as well, so he has an artist that he uses.
Is there a specific reason that this can't be deeded to the city after it's renovated as such?
Well, I think that would be an insult to him if the city wanted to offer him the $20 that he's gonna be getting for the lease. I mean, that property is worth more than $20, would you not agree?
I don't know, so that's why I'm asking.
I think, the intention would be that once the 20 years up, we would negotiate more, I think is the intention.
Yeah, we had some discussions, I so happened to see him maybe a day or two afterwards, and we have had some discussion. He seems to be amenable to working with the city. What all that was looking at the legal document, I could not tell you, but he was very wanting to help out the city with this project.
I guess I have a question for Johnny. In the event that he passes away during this 20 years, what happens to this agreement?
If there's a lease in place, I mean, even if he bequeaths the property to somebody else, it's gonna be subject to that lease.
Okay.
And I know there was some discussion in the special call meeting about possibly he intended to pass that on to, what was it, Main Street or the city?
That's for the Main Street building, is my
Yeah,
understanding.
that was,
Is that
That
correct?
was something that
That
was
was something different, probably.
Yeah, for the Main Street building itself.
And I'm appreciative of him going to 20. I'm okay with that. I appreciate him going up.
yeah, I think it really speaks to, he wants something there that,
Yeah, it looks nice.
I think it would've been different if he said, no, we're not. I think that's good.
Mhm. So everyone okay with moving this on to Tuesday night? October the 14th board meeting? Okay, we'll move that on.
So we're still discussing the proposed property sale by White Way Legacy LLC. And you may have received this morning a copy of his latest proposal, and I apologize, I ended up getting that yesterday after notes, but, with the proposal so far, we met with FPU and their staff back early September about what the study should include. So right now, we have some results of the study. I know we have not had a chance to talk to Mr. Dye. What is the result of that? Yesterday, when I did talk to Mr. Wright, I did say we would like to have a follow-up meeting to make sure the study is what we all expected, and Mr. Wright was fine with that. I need to get with Mr. Dye, and I know Mr. Dye has had some concerns that have been expressed to his board, so we're trying to get all of that together. Even with the price that has been proposed in the latest, I do recommend that we even negotiate if we decide to sell, what is gonna be the best price and whether we want to do that. In the latest proposal, when you read it here, it asks that we resolve this within 60 days. That will give us time to find out whether the study is acceptable to the board, as well as check with Mr. Dye and LPU and look at the price. So right now, unless you all have any further concerns, that's where we are with that.
So we would not move this on to the November meeting, correct?
I think we still need some more information on that before we're able to move to the November. And yesterday, when I did talk to Mr. Wright, I did tell him that we did need to talk, and I need to find out whether there are any further concerns from the board before we were ready. But he is aware that it may take us until at least the November meeting to make a firm recommendation.
Any other comments? Maybe after you read the letter, if you haven't already, you might have some questions or concerns, so you can always address those back to Kevin. Okay. Is that all you have, Christy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now we're gonna move to IT department. Jonathan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So first on the agenda, I was finally able to get everybody up to Windows 11, and that includes anybody who needed a new computer altogether. I sent out an email to further verify that all the computers in the city are up to date, so that way nothing is left insecure. Speakers in Stonebridge for the Monster Mash Bash are officially set up, so we are good to go. I want to get that out of the way, so that way I didn't have to do it on short notice. And the finalization of the cameras were set up on Parks and Rec. I was able to work with Flylock, and they're really good, and they got it set up to where Miss Ann up front has it, and Miss Abby, I think, has it on her computer, and then Nathan also has it on his computer. And configuration for the Vita-Root system in Public Works, I had to configure it to communicate with the old Fuelmaster system. Unfortunately, I'm still working on that. But on the brighter side of things, next week they're getting a new Fuelmaster system altogether, so it should be a lot easier to get them to communicate. And finally, the new iPads are being looked into. I'm attempting to contact some companies so we can get a bundle for the 15 that we need. I did talk to Apple. They're supposed to get back to me. I believe the fire department got a discount last time when they got their iPads, so hopefully we can get a good discount on those and get those all sorted out. And if you guys don't have any questions, that should be all for me.
Any questions for IT?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, we appreciate you, Jonathan.
I'm hoping those speakers are some Nathan sings at the Mash Bash.
Okay, then we'll move to finance, back to Kevin Owens.
Mayor, if you do not, if you do not mind, I'm going to ask, since we do have Fayetteville City Schools Director Eric Jones in the room, and he did an awesome job of explaining to me, if we could yield and allow him to explain the first item.
That's fine.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I appreciate the opportunity to come forward and talk about the project. I didn't hear exactly what you said. I want to make sure you want me to speak about the FEMA grant. Okay. the status of the FEMA grant is this. Of course, we're in a government shutdown, but that hasn't affected any of the work that's been going on for the last 5 years. Long story short, everything is on go. TEMA is very eager to go ahead and get the ball rolling. They've got all the money kind of earmarked and set aside. The money's in the bank. When we went to bid, I know Alderman Faulkner was there and the mayor was there. I think Mr. Bradford was there at some point. All the qualifying bids came in above what the original grant assessment was. So there's a procedure in these grants that if that happens, you can just request more money. So we've requested more money. That has been granted. It looks like we're gonna have the 90% federal, 5% state, 5% local split, which is the most advantageous split for us. It looks like, and I'm saying it looks like because I don't want to commit it is until contracts are signed, because that is when everything actually is written in the contract. But it looks like we're going to be in a situation where we've got about a $13 million property. The school system is paying for the entire local portion. The city is serving again as a pass-through. The school system will be paying between $2.3 and $2.5 million for kind of everything. We have a budget, and in our savings for the project, we have over $1 million beyond that amount. So even if there's no scope of work change, so what we had planned initially 5 years ago, it's essentially the exact same thing. I say essentially because fire marshal has to add some stairwells and you know, we're not building bigger, better, fancier. Same plan we've always had. Everything is kind of on the launch pad. We do need a signature. We need a formal letter requesting the release of additional funds from the state. I've got the draft of that letter. It requires my signature and the mayor's signature. I know the auditors wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of where we currently are and then have the opportunity for the board of mayor and aldermen to vote. I would request and encourage all of you to ask me any questions so that you feel confident providing a positive vote to that end. And there is a possibility that we could break ground within this calendar year, depending on the impact of the shutdown, which doesn't really complicate our project, but it does complicate the processing of paperwork. So, and I am at your service to answer any questions you may have.
So this vote is just for the letter to ask the state to give more money?
Yes, sir.
I have a copy of that letter here, and it's in there on the iPad. So the way, my calculation, if the school is paying 2.3 to 2.5, TEMA would also be paying that 5%, which would be 2 to
The state, yes.
Okay, state. And then that leaves FEMA paying $8 million.
Yes, ma'am, through federal monies. All right. I'll tell you what, so there's no confusion, I'll send an email of all the current calculations. I'll send that to Debbie and she can share that out with everyone. So that'll give y'all plenty of time prior to the 14th to look it over.
Okay.
That way I'm not throwing ballparks, you can see specifically.
Okay.
If anybody's curious, cost benefit analysis is still a 5.16, which is really nice.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Move this on to the 14th.
Awesome. Y'all have a really good day.
Thank you.
Item number 2 under the Finance Committee is the Fayetteville City Schools. It's their budget amendment number 1 for the fiscal year. And it should be a calculation on your iPads of all of the expenses they're asking in their budget amendments.
questions? All right, Mr. Owens?
Okay. And item number 3 would be the city budget amendment, amendment number 5 in this fiscal year. And that would include the $1,000 that we asked earlier in the fire department, moving it from professional services to their software line item to be able to purchase the ESO software. Also under the budget amendment, we have a donation by the Lions Club of $450 that will go to Park and Recreation Department. And this will be under donations to events in Parks and Recreation. There is also Gerald's under Parks and Recreation. That would be $723, and that was raised under donations, and it would also be included under Parks and Recreation donation and operating. And we have $4,853.62. We had a Parks and Recreation truck that caused for damage, and we ended up with insurance proceeds, and those funds would go to repair that truck. And finally, under the budget amendment, we have had an accident maybe 2 months ago in front of the municipal building, and there was some insurance paid of $1,875 that will go also to repair the rails that were damaged by the accident. And that will all be under budget amendment number 5.
Any questions on the budget amendment? Okay.
Also, under the finance report, we talked about the ladder truck repair, which Assistant Chief Brandon mentioned. That's $9,250. That is also included in their budget, so we will probably not need action on that one since it was approved within the budget, but we did want to bring that information to the board, as previously mentioned. And Mr. Williams had mentioned about the drainage on Lincoln Avenue in Washington, and address, I think, with Alderman Faulkner asked a question earlier. We did, once we found out that particular damage out there, we did send an outline maybe about 2 weeks ago about what was going on and the cost, the repair recommendation. With those repair recommendation is estimated to be between $25,000 to $30,000, and we're going to recommend that those funds come out of the bonds. Finance team did some research over the last week and a half, and we did find out we do have money in the bonds that can go towards that. And our resolution 2020-13 will allow for those funds to be taken. The exact number is not known yet, but we know it's going to be between that 25,000 and 30, and we certainly have that cost before me.
Okay. Any questions from that? If not, we will take your finance department update.
And the final thing, I guess, we have, as far as the numbers, the local option sales tax received in September 2025, and this was for the month of August, was $332,849. That reflects, from our calculation, a 7.69 decrease from this time last year. The state share sales tax received in September was $64,785.68. This happens to be an increase of 6.55%. And then we had the occupancy tax received in September, and it was $12,199. And we are calculating a 21.22% decrease from this time last month. And that's the finances, unless there's any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, can I make a request? I was going to do this for committees, for finance committee at least. Could For next month's committee and maybe going forward, can we get a report on like a snapshot of fund balances as they stay, and I know they change every day, but like take a snapshot right before we come to finance committee to know what those are, as well as I know on, there's a spreadsheet that shows occupancy tax time phased over each month over the past couple years. I've seen, Loretta has that, and I would assume there's probably one for local option sales tax as well as state share tax. If we could get that as a report, so, yeah.
So you want the fund balance current, as current as it is?
As current, like, yeah,
today.
snapshot for finance committee, and then, those time phased, I guess, screenshot of those spreadsheets.
Okay, any other comments? So we are now to the city administrator's report.
Okay. So the final report of the day, will be the city administrator's report, and you do have, some of the activities that were worked on in the previous month, but also as we move into October, we're still continuing to work on security in the building, as well as other building maintenance issues. We had a very comprehensive meeting yesterday that we talked about all city buildings, and some of the needs. And I think as a result of that meeting, I will prepare a report for the board's consumption, because we had some things that you do need to be aware that came out of that list. We're still continuing to do homeless and social services all together. We had a big meeting in September. We have one scheduled, a follow-up meeting that's gonna be a little more inclusive with some of our partners around the city. That is at the end of the month. Jack is working to get us fleet management started, and we're working to have a bigger meeting probably mid to late month. We did hear from our MTS representative over the last week about the municipal code and what do we expect with updating the municipal code. You may recall that we did set aside some funds in this fiscal year, and we have been working even through the last board to start our updating process. We're finally getting some real answers from MTS, and they did present us some things that I do need to bring back to the board to see what our real intent is on. And finally, we are starting open enrollment, which will start the third week of October, and it will be a week process. So we will be doing a lot of interacting with the employees about insurance. And unless you all have any questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions? If not, we will adjourn this session, the work session this time, and we will immediately have the finance meeting. We'll take a couple of minutes if anyone wants to leave and excuse yourself.